Hello, this is the Bible History School. This is the 67th session of Revelation and World History. At our Bible History School, we are serializing Revelation and World History in 12 chapters. As of last time, we have completed lectures from chapter 1 to chapter 10. This video is a collection of the entire video from chapter 10, sections 1 to 3 of Revelation and World History. Provided by the Bible History School. If you subscribe and set up notifications, you can continue listening to the lecture, Revelation and World History. Hello, this is the 65th lecture of Revelation and World History. Last time, we finished the lectures on chapters 1 through 9 of Revelation and World History. Having completed both the first and middle sections of the 12-chapter lecture, we are now moving toward the conclusion. We covered very important themes in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. We examined the substantive identity of the two beasts, appearing in Revelation chapter 13. We also identified the figure corresponding to the beast with two horns like a lamb, namely, 666. And the community comprising the 144,000. Furthermore, we historically substantiated the relationship between Gog and Magog and Babylon. And we looked into history to find out what kind of war the Battle of Armageddon was. In this lecture, we will examine the judgment on Edom. Revelation and World History, Chapter 10, Judgment and Restoration. Section 1, Judgment on Edom. Let us examine the words of Isaiah chapter 34. Come, you nations, come and listen, you peoples, incline your ears. Listen, you earth and all that fills it, the world and all that comes from it. For the Lord is angry with the nations, and furious with their hosts. He will destroy them, and make them slaughtered. The slaughtered ones will be cast down. And the stench of their carcasses will rise up, and the mountains will melt at their blood. The myriad forms of the heavens will vanish, and the heavens will be rolled up like a scroll. The decay of all things will be like the withering of grapevine leaves and fig tree leaves. The sword of the Lord has drunk its fill in the heavens. Behold, it will fall upon Edom, and upon the people, whom it has decided to destroy, to judge him. The sword of the Lord was satisfied with blood, even the blood of lambs and goats. For there is a sacrifice for the Lord in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. The wild ox, the calf, and the bull will go down together to the slaughter. Then their land will be drunk with blood, and the earth will be enriched with oil. This is the day of vengeance for the Lord, the year of vindication for Zion. The streams of Edom will turn into bitumen, and their dust into sulfur, and their land will become burning bitumen. It will not be extinguished day or night, and its smoke will rise ceaselessly. It will be a desolate place forever and ever, and no one will ever pass through it. The hawk and the hedgehog will take possession of the land, and the owl and the raven will dwell there. The Lord will hang down the cord of confusion, and the weight of emptiness upon him. They will call upon nobles to succeed the nation, but there will be none. None of their princes will be, and there will be no nobles to declare the nation. Thorns will grow in their palaces, and thistles and ragweed will grow in their fortified cities. And the dens of jackals, and it will become a dwelling place for the ostrich. The wild beast will meet with the wolf, and the goat will call to its kind. The owl will dwell there, and make it its resting place. The owl will nest there, and lay its eggs and brood them, and gather them in its shade. The vultures will also gather there, each with his mate. Look in the book of the Lord, and read it, none of these shall be missing, nor shall any be without its mate. For the mouth of the Lord has commanded it, and his Spirit has gathered them. The Lord has cast lots for them, and stretched out a line with his hand, to divide the land among them. They shall possess it forever, and shall live there from generation to generation. Isaiah chapter 34 verses 1 to 17. Next, let us examine the words of Isaiah chapter 63. Who is this coming from Edom, clothed in scarlet? Who is this coming from Bozrah, with his splendid robes and walking with great power? It is I, who speak of righteousness and possess the power to save. Why is your robe scarlet, and why are your robes like those of one treading a winepress? I tread the winepress alone, with no one with me among the nations. I trampled the multitudes in my anger, and I trampled them in my wrath. And their blood splattered upon my robes, and defiled them all. For the day of my vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redemption has come. But I saw that there was no one to help me, no one to hold me up. And I was astonished, for my arm saved me, and my wrath held me up. I trampled the nations in my anger, and I made them drunk in my wrath. And I caused their blood to be poured out on the earth. Isaiah chapter 63 verses 1 to 6. Next, we will examine the words of Ezekiel chapter 35. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Turn your face toward Mount Seir, O Son of Man, and prophesy to him. Say, Thus says the Lord God, O Mount Seir. I will stretch out my hand against you. I will make you a wasteland and an object of terror. I will tear down your cities, and you will become a wasteland, and you will know that I am the Lord. You have long harbored a grudge in the time of the house of Israel's trouble. In the last days of their wickedness, you delivered them to the power of the sword. Therefore says the Lord God, I swear by my life, that if I make you meet blood, blood will follow you. I will make Mount Seir a wasteland and a ruin, and I will cut off all who travel over it. I will fill the slain on its mountains, and the slain by the sword on your peaks, and on your valleys. And I will make you desolate forever, so that no one will dwell in your cities anymore. You said, These 2 nations and 2 lands are all mine, and they shall be my inheritance. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, I swear by my life. Just as you hated them, were angry with them, and were jealous of them, I will do to you and judge you, then they will know me. You said concerning the mountains of Israel, Those mountains are desolate, so they have been given to us to be swallowed up. I have heard you boast with your mouths against me, and speak many things against me. Thus says the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make you desolate. Just as you rejoiced over the desolation of the inheritance of the house of Israel, I will make you desolate. Say, you Mount Seir, and all the land of Edom will be laid waste, and the people will know that I am the Lord. Ezekiel chapter 35 verses 1 to 15. In this way, the prophetic books place special emphasis on the judgment of Edom, along with Babylon. Seir can be interpreted as the same name referring to Edom. This is analogous to referring to northern Israel as Ephraim or Samaria. Babylon is particularly emphasized in the book of Revelation. However, the Old Testament, especially the book of Isaiah, emphasizes that the judgment on Edom is God's final judgment. The key to interpretation is, which country does this Edom refer to? Just as Babylon does not refer to Iraq, Edom is not a country surrounding Israel in Palestine. This Edom is also a nation, related to the future Israel, that is, the Israel present at the site where the prophecy is being fulfilled. In the previous lecture, we fully explained that, in the interpretation of the book of Revelation, Babylon refers to the Soviet Union. Furthermore, we explained in detail the fact that Israel, corresponding to this Babylon, represents the Korean Peninsula. In that case, Edom would also be one of the countries invaded by Babylon, that is, the Soviet Union. It is also likely a country related to the Korean Peninsula. Israel was divided into the south and the north, splitting into southern Judah and northern Israel. The Korean Peninsula is also divided into South Korea and North Korea, presenting the same appearance as Israel, which was divided into north and south. Therefore, in the prophetic books, southern Judah can be considered in relation to South Korea, and northern Israel to North Korea. However, Edom is not much different from this. Edom is also a twin brother of Jacob. Korea and China are distinctly different countries due to significant differences in history, language, and culture. However, Israel and Edom are more closely related as twin histories. In comparison to ancient Korean history, they can be seen as equivalent to Goguryeo and Baekje. Goguryeo was founded by Jumong, and Baekje was founded by Onjo. Both are nations established by people of Buyo descent. Goguryeo adopts the birth myth of King Dongmyeong, the progenitor of Buyo. Just as Baekje called its national name, South Buyo. It can be understood from the fact that both nations proclaimed their Buyo lineage. Currently, the Korean Peninsula is divided into South Korea and North Korea. South Korea has adopted democracy, while North Korea has adopted communism, showing clear political differences. However, the roots of the two countries are the same. After the deaths of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il of North Korea, Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un, inherited the regime. This too is a continuation of the traditions of a Stalinist state, a remnant of the 20th century. Looking solely at the situation of the Korean Peninsula, divided into North and South. South Korea and North Korea can be compared, that is, southern Judah and northern Israel. However, from the perspective of regimes, North Korea occupies a somewhat special position. The word Edom means red. Isaiah chapter 63 also particularly emphasizes the red color of Edom. A nation that uses red as its symbol is an important clue, indicating that it is a communist state. A regime that is Jacob's twin and wears red clothes, that is the North Korean Communist regime. When describing it ethnically, it can be expressed as southern Judah and northern Israel. However, specifically by likening it to a communist regime that uses red as its symbolic color. The North Korean regime can be likened to Edom. Babylon corresponds to the Soviet Union, the beast that rose from the sea, Revelation chapter 13 verse 1. Edom is North Korea, the beast that rose from the earth, Revelation chapter 13 verse 11. Both the Soviet Union and North Korea are beasts that bear a reddish hue. The sum of the numerical values in the names of the two rulers of North Korea, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, is 666. The North Korean church was annihilated by Kim Il-sung. The church was invaded and destroyed by the beast because of its sin. However, the fact is that, when the time comes, God will destroy those beasts for the sin of invading his people. The Soviet Union, one of the two beasts mentioned in the book of Revelation, has already been destroyed and no longer exists. Now, only the North Korean regime, the other of the two beast nations, remains. Thus says the Lord God, "Surely, I have spoken with my fierce jealousy against the remaining Gentiles and all the land of Edom. For they have taken my land for themselves, with a heart of great joy and a spirit of contempt." Ezekiel chapter 36 verse 5. The phrase "took my land for themselves" refers to the fact that the Kim Il-sung regime in North Korea destroyed and annihilated the church, which is God's people. It means that, when the time comes, God will judge them for the price of their sins. This is the day of vengeance for the Lord, the year of vindication for Zion's cause. Isaiah chapter 34 verse 8. The Soviet Union ruled for its lifespan of 70 years, from 1922 to 1991, and then ceased to exist. When the term of the North Korean communist regime is fulfilled, that dictatorship will perish and disappear from the face of the earth. It is not that the country of North Korea is disappearing from the face of the earth, but rather that the regime persecuting the church and its own people will face judgment. Although the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States succeeded it and continued to exist. In this way, the nation on North Korean soil will continue. However, the system of idolization and dictatorship by the Kim Il-sung family will come to an end. Their time is running out. The Soviet Union, which persecuted the church and instilled fear of communism in the world, existed for 70 years, but has already vanished. Also, the two horns that ruled North Korea, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, have already died. However, in North Korea, which is ruled by Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un, the church has not yet been restored. Nevertheless, when the time comes, every prophecy that the dead church will rise again will be fulfilled without exception. The final remaining historical fulfillment of the Book of Revelation and the prophetic books is the restoration of the North Korean church. We know that time is near. Understanding that time correctly and preparing for it will be the greatest task currently facing the Korean church. In the next lecture, we will examine Chapter 10, Sections 2 and 3, the restoration of the North Korean church. It was the Bible History School. Hello, this is the 66th lecture of Revelation and World History. Last time, we finished the lectures on chapters 1 through 9 of Revelation and World History. Having completed both the first and middle sections of the 12-chapter lecture, we are now moving toward the conclusion. We covered very important themes in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. We examined the substantive identity of the two beasts, appearing in Revelation chapter 13. We also identified the figure corresponding to the beast with two horns like a lamb, namely, 666. And the community comprising the 144,000. Furthermore, we historically substantiated the relationship between Gog and Magog and Babylon. And we looked into history to find out what kind of war the Battle of Armageddon was. In this lecture, we will examine the restoration of the North Korean church. Revelation and World History, Chapter 10, Section 2. The Union of the North and South. Let us examine the words of Ezekiel chapter 37. The word of the Lord came to me again, saying, Son of man, take one stick, and write on it, Judah and its companion, the people of Israel. Then, take another stick, and write on it, the stick of Ephraim, that is, Joseph and its companions, all the house of Israel. Join the sticks together, so that they become one, and in your hand, the two will become one. When your people say to you, will you not tell us what this means? Thus says the Lord God, I will take the stick of Joseph and its companions, the tribes of Israel, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and join it to the stick of Judah, so that they become one stick, and in my hand, they will become one. You shall take the written sticks in your hand, before the eyes of the multitude, and say to them, Thus says the Lord God, I will bring the people of Israel out of the many nations, where they have been taken captive. And I will gather them from all four sides, and bring them back to their own land. And, on all the mountains of Israel in that land, they will become one nation. I will make it so that one king will rule over them all. They shall no longer be two peoples, nor divided into two kingdoms. They shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, their abominable things, and all their sins. I will save them from all the places where they have sinned, and cleanse them. They shall be my people, and I shall be their God. My servant David shall be their king, and there shall be one shepherd for all of them. They shall observe my statutes, and keep my ordinances. They shall dwell in the land I gave to my servant Jacob, the land where his ancestors dwelt. They and their descendants shall dwell there forever, and my servant David shall be their king forever. I shall establish a covenant of peace with them, a covenant that will be everlasting. I shall make them secure and prosperous, and I shall set my sanctuary in their midst, which will last forever. My sanctuary shall be in their midst, and I shall be their God, and they shall be my people. My sanctuary will be among them forever. And the nations will know that I am the Lord, who sanctifies Israel. Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 15 to 28. These two nations and two lands are mine, and they shall be my inheritance, he said. But the Lord was there. Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 10. The two nations refer to northern Israel and southern Judah. This means that, once God judges the Kim Il-sung family of North Korea, the South and the North will become one again. They will form one nation in all the mountains of Israel, and one king will rule over them all. They will no longer be two nations, nor divided into two kingdoms. Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 22. The words of the prophetic book stating that it will not be divided into two nations clearly indicate the fact that South and North Korea will eventually be unified into one. Revelation and World History, Chapter 10, Section 3. The Restoration of the North Korean Church. Let us re-examine the words of Ezekiel chapter 37. The Lord came to me with power, and carried me by his Spirit, and set me in the middle of a valley, full of bones. He made me pass around the bones on all sides. And I saw that there were very many bones on the ground of the valley, and they were very bare. He said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? I answered, Lord, you know. Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones and say, You dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones. I will put breath into you, and you will live. I will put sinews on you, and put flesh on you, and cover you with skin. And put breath into you, and you will live, and you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a sound and a movement. And bone came together with bone, and the bones were joined together. Then I saw sinews on the bones, they came to life and flesh grew. And skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, Son of man, prophesy to the breath. Prophesy to the breath and say, Thus says the Lord God. Come, breath, from the four winds, and breathe into these dead ones, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded. And the breath entered them, and they came to life and stood up, a very great army. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. They say, Our bones are dried up, and our hope is gone, we are all destroyed. Therefore, prophesy to them and say, Thus says the Lord God. My people, I will open your graves and bring you out of them, and bring you into the land of Israel. My people, I will open your graves and bring you out of them, and you will know that I am the Lord. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will place you in your own land. You shall know that "The Lord has spoken and accomplished this, declares the Lord." Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 1 to 14. Now, what remains in the fulfillment of the prophecy is the restoration of the North Korean church that had been destroyed. Even during the Japanese colonial period, the gospel was preached more actively in the North Korean region than in the South. 2/3 of the total number of Christians on the Korean peninsula were believers in the North. For this reason, the North Korean church was sometimes referred to as the Jerusalem of the East. However, during the Korean War, it was ultimately completely destroyed, leaving not a single official church building behind. It was not until the late 1980s that the Kim Il-sung regime established the Bongsu Church in Pyongyang. However, this was established by North Korea to promote itself to the West, in conjunction with South Korea's hosting of the 1988 Seoul Olympics. Although they claim to be holding worship services, it is a place where one cannot even freely read a Bible. Even in the Soviet Union under Stalin, the Russian Orthodox Church was not eradicated. However, North Korea is the only country on earth where religious freedom has been completely eradicated. Instead, the idolization of Kim Il-sung has established itself as their sole religion. Even after Kim Il-sung's death, Kim Jong-il implemented the so-called rule by posthumous instructions, declaring, "The leader of the North Korean people is only leader Kim Il-sung." The statement in Matthew chapter 24 verse 15, "The abomination of desolation stood in the holy place," means. It refers precisely to the fact that Kim Il-sung himself was placed as an object of worship. In 1945, following the end of the Japanese colonial period, the Korean peninsula was divided into North and South by the United States and the Soviet Union. Kim Il-sung, who was brought to power in North Korea by Stalin, annihilated all churches in the region and ruled as a dictator until his death on July 8, 1994. From 1945 to 1994, counting only by the number of years he ruled, it was exactly 49 years. A period called 7 weeks appears in Daniel 9 verse 25. If we break this down, 7 times 7 is 49, which means 49 years. Kim Il-sung also ruled for exactly 49 years before he died. Kim Jong-il was born on February 16, 1942, and died on December 17, 2011. Calculated using the Korean age system, which starts with the year of birth as 1 year old. He died at exactly 70 years old. The Soviet Union, established by Stalin in 1922, ceased to exist in December 1991. It disappeared after existing for exactly 70 years. Kim Jong-il also lived for 70 years, the same lifespan as the Soviet Union before he died. If you add the numbers of their names to Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, it amounts to exactly 666. As of 2026, Kim Jong-un, the grandson of Kim Il-sung, is ruling North Korea. It is to the extent that the North Korean church today consists of nothing but a heap of dry bones. Although there are underground churches, they are not even able to openly practice their faith. However, when the time comes, the dictator and oppressor will disappear through God's judgment. And the North Korean church, which had been dead, will also be resurrected. The text of the prophetic book clearly states, "The breath of life will enter into those who were dead, and they will live again." The Soviet Union, which persecuted the church and instilled fear of communism in the world, existed for 70 years, but has already vanished. Also, the two horns that ruled North Korea, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, have already died. However, in North Korea, which is ruled by Kim Il-sung's grandson Kim Jong-un, the church has not yet been restored. Nevertheless, when the time comes, Every prophecy that the dead church will rise again will be fulfilled without exception. The final remaining historical fulfillment of the Book of Revelation and the prophetic books is the restoration of the North Korean church. We know that time is near. Understanding that time correctly and preparing for it will be the greatest task currently facing the Korean church. In the next lecture, we will examine chapter 11, when is the end of the prophecy. It was the Bible History School.